or anything like that. And Nick is right. I do think that's something that Barry Trotz has been much more open to. And let's not forget, too, that you now have Bill first came in. Mike Ribeiro had been bought out by the Coyotes. And the Predators signed him for almost nothing, about $1 million a year. But he was getting paid by the Predators and the Coyotes. And so he was literally getting 2 paychecks. And he would joke about it.
Pretty good deal.
He would joke about it. He
Right.
would be like, Arizona, man, Arizona. But but the Predators got a good deal out of that because they got mileage at him. And I don't doubt that Matt Duchene is going to be an attractive guy at the right price because they're going to say, hey, Matt, you're making X amount of dollars from the Predators, $2.5 million this year. Hey, we'll pay you another $2.5 million, and now you're a $5 million player. So that's the kind of thing that will go on here. But I do think Barry Trotz was much more open to making those kind of moves. David Poile shied away from it for a long time. Kyle Turris was the first guy that he did it with. Mm-hmm. So I think it's also tied in that the salary cap situation is better in general, and the cap will go up to help offset some of these costs that will still be on the books for a couple years.
And I've said this before when we were talking about the Predators potentially buying out Johansson's contract. As far as Johansson was concerned, I've said, I'd rather pay a guy for at least some production rather than paying him for no production at all. But the more I've heard Barry Trotz, and this is something that he mentioned with Jared yesterday, was he said, we have this vision, we have this philosophy, we have this 3 to 4 year plan. And if a player is not part of that plan, then we do not have a place for that person on our team. And he said, we love Ryan Johansson. This was before the move was made with Matt Duchene this morning. So we love Ryan Johansson. He's a great guy. He loves the city of Nashville. He's done great things for this team, but he just no longer fits this vision. So I kind of apply that same line of thinking with Matt Duchene as even though I'd rather pay for some production than no production at all. But if Matt Duchene isn't part of the vision, then move forward without him.
I do think I'm going to stick with this as my consistent message, I believe, because it looks very fair to say now that with the Johansson move and several other similar moves around the league, that the Predators were offering up Matt Duchene for half price for a while and could not find a taker like the Avalanche, who took Ryan Johansson's contract for half price for essentially no return. So nobody wanted Matt Duchene for half price for 3 years because that's a better deal for the Predators if they could unload it that way rather than just straight up pay him on the buyout. But I think it's because they had the room to keep him. They had the salary cap space to keep him, but at least for one more year and try to see if he would work with Andrew Brunette. But I think they felt like on top of the inconsistent production and return on investment, that looking forward, this was a culture move as well as a production move. I do think it says a lot about who they want the veterans to be in this situation around the young players like Evangelista and Tomasino and Glass and Novak. I think they want good influences, hard-nosed, as Elliott called them, bulldogs, Barry Trotz kind of guys, which I think are also Andrew Brunette kind of guys. Andrew Brunette wants to play a certain way. You got to have that right team attitude if you're going to be struggling a little bit or taking a little bit of step back. You want to keep that competitive edge. I still think the team, with the right pickup or two, and I think there's opportunities now to pick up a couple of veteran guys, the right guys, you could still be very competitive. What I would mean by that, if everything falls right, is it crazy you could finish 8th? I still don't think so. I think that's gettable without losing sight of the real goal, and that's loading up for 2 or 3 years down the road.
Preds Bobo, Jared Stillman, said they think that they're going to make playoffs.
When you have UC Saros, you have a chance.
Anything is possible.
You have a chance. If you have a little luck and don't get guys hurt and your veterans have good years and you get growth from the youngsters, we've seen it. UC Saros is going to keep you in games, and Kevin Lankinen is a great backup. And
you mentioned the 3 to 4 year plan. As long as you have your priority 1A is that plan, then whatever happens from now until then great.
It's gravy.
Fine.
Right, it's gravy.
Great. And Barry Trotz was on with Jared yesterday and kind of highlighted exactly what that plan does look like. This was Barry Trotz.
How long in general do you want fans to say, hey, it's going to take some time with these guys, knowing that everybody's different?
Yeah, no, absolutely. With this core that we drafted today, I would say, you're in your mind, you have to have a 3 to 4 year mindset. When you think that we're drafting 18, I want you to really look at them at 22. If they pop before, then they will be contributing players. But I always say it takes like 3 or 4 years. And, we already have some kids that were drafted 2 years ago. Kids are drafted last year. And now we got a group of kids that are drafted. So what I'm trying to set up is, I said we may have to take some step backwards. And, there'll be some pain in this process. But, for the last couple of years, listening to your show, listening, doing social media, I always follow the Predators. And there's been a really huge section of our fan base that said, hey, it's time to sort of rebuild a little bit. Mm-hmm. But and they started that process a little bit, but we're not in a rebuild. We're in it's not necessarily retool. We're somewhere in between. And that's why I said
it's a re-something.
Re-something, yes. And I've got to do a job now. I wanted to open up some cap space. I wanted to set, a 4-year plan where, next year, now we had some great, Luke Evangelista and Tomasino, and we had the young Kemmel and Askarov. They were all in Milwaukee. They were key players there. But they may not be ready yet. Mm-hmm. But they may be our guys coming up. We get someone injured. They're coming up, and I got skilled guys to replace. I got, hopefully the Schaefer kid that we got in the Edmonton deal can come up and give us some bang and some sandpaper and stuff like that. So my job in the next little while is to create holes for them where when they're ready, I've got a place to put them. What happens with the salary cap and signing this free agent going forward tomorrow, if I oversign, I lose spaces for them.
So I think that Barry Trotz kind of showed us what the 3 to 4 year plan is. Going to have to take a couple steps back. I think we're seeing that, not just with selling at the trade deadline, but trading away Ryan Johansson, buying out Matt Duchene's contract, a focus on developing the young guys, creating roster holes for those guys once they're ready, creating roster space to continue to build this team. And really one part of focusing on the youth, focusing on developing this core, is having the right veterans in place in order to do that.
Yes. And so I think that answer that he just gave was a very detailed answer. And I thought it was interesting. He said 3 to 4 years and not 2 to 3. I do think you're going to start seeing some really, this is, again, we don't know if these young players are going to keep moving up the ladder and really excelling. Some are, some aren't, right? That's just the law of averages. Mm-hmm. You're not going to bat 1,000. But if some of these guys turn into something pretty special, that's going to accelerate more towards 2 to 3. And if they don't, then maybe it is a little more like 3 to 4.
Right.
The other thing that strikes me is they've got all this cap space, and people like Elliott are sitting there going, wow, they could really go after some of these guys if they want. Uh-huh. But it doesn't sound to me like Barry Trotz is wanting to jump out and sign somebody to 8 years.
Not a long-term commitment.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think I would be surprised if it's somebody like that. The only exception would be if they wanted to, and they may not want to go down this road, but they wanted to get in on the Alex DeBrincat, sweepstakes. Now, you keep hearing the favorite, the leader in the clubhouse is Detroit. They've got the cap space. They've got the goods. That's, it looks like he would like to be there. They want to win. Uh-huh. They've been setting the table for 8 years. I mean, Detroit has not been made the playoffs in a ton of time. That's a long rebuild. Mm-hmm. They would have loved it to be 3 or 4 years. They're going on 7 and 8
right
now. So until it's not Detroit, I'll be surprised. But if they wanted to get in there, DeBrincat is in that age range where in 3 to 4 years, he's still going to be in the prime of his career. So if you like him, that's the one kind of guy that you would look at a longer-term deal. Otherwise, if the guy's typically 28, 29, 30, let's use JT Compher. That's a name that Elliott threw out there. I don't know. I don't know what the market's going to be, but to me, for a guy like that, is that guy really going to move the needle? I don't know enough about his character and what does he bring to the locker room, but I'm not sure that's the kind of guy that's really going to move the needle for you. I'd be looking for that 1 or 2 year veteran stopgap that's not going to have money on the books way down the road, but a guy that could be a good influence on these young guys the next couple of years. That, to me, would be what you would be looking for.
A couple of years, 3 years, maybe 2-3 years.
4 would get, you'd have some antsy people.
4,
antsy fan base,
especially
if it's 4.
for a player that's maybe 29, 30, 31. I'd be looking for something like that, like a veteran, an experienced veteran that's had success in the league, that doesn't have 8 years left in him, but that's a fine because you don't need him for 8 more years. He doesn't have a contract that absolutely breaks the bank, but you bring him in. He's a good influence on some of these young guys, and these veterans kind of bring you along and kind of bridge the gap from now until the end of Barry Trotz's 3 to 4 year plan, like you just mentioned with Jared.
Now, let me ask you this.
Guys?
Well, that's the question. I've been trying to put together a list. This is short notice, but I'm be curious what a fan thinks if you hear 4 years. Like 3 years is one thing. You want to start seeing progress by the 3rd year. And then there's that question of, okay, is that would get into, is Saros the goalie beyond 2 years? He's got 2 years left, right? So are you reinvesting in him? You're certainly going to have the opportunity, salary cap-wise, to do it.
Well, let's get into that coming up next.
But when you hear 4 years,
does
that have, and you go, man, I don't know if I want to wait 4 years. I'd like to see it a little bit before that. You know what I mean? That's natural, right? Fans are like, yeah, go for the rebuild. This is great. Barry's cleaning the house. He's starting over. And then 4 years from now, like, oh, man. Like, imagine being a Red Wing fan right now and how hungry you are for success because, hey, man, I've been hearing about this Yzerman plan for a long time. The Yzer plan, hey, where is it, man? Let's win.
Right.
I'm tired of losing.
To get antsy.
Yeah.
And if I would ask, let's say if you ask me, hey, the Predators are going to be, not the best 4 years over the next 4 years, but you're going to get a Stanley Cup out of it. I would say, heck yeah, sign me up. Doesn't make those 4 years any more fun. And there's also no guarantee. There is no promise that you are going to get out on the other side of the retool, whatever you want to call it, and that you get a Stanley Cup.
Do we just need to call it the re?
The re-B?
The re-Trots?
Yeah, the Trotz administration. The Trotz... The Trotz.
The re-Trotsy?
We're
going to come up with a lingo.
That.
Yeah.
We will workshop
He said
that.
re-something. We need to come up with a nickname of what this is.
We'll work on that. We will work on that. We'll get into coming up next. What are some guys that can help the Predators bridge from where they are right now, this youth movement, into being a Stanley Cup contending team? Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, and also text into the game text line right now the word RACE, R-A-C-E, to the game text line at 615-737-1025 and enter to win a 4-pack of tickets to the Independence Day race at Duck River Raceway in Lewisburg on Sunday, July 2nd. Good luck with that. 1025-1063 The Game.
All the big plays.
Henry up the middle. Makes a little move. 10, 5, touchdown.
All the big stories.
Should the Titans go after DeAndre Hopkins?
All in one place. We are Nashville's best sports talk. 102.5 and 106.3.
Touchdown, Tennessee.
You're going to make a trade like this.
Does he want to retire a Tennessee Titan?
The door's on the board.
Such superstar players.
The Game and the Game Nashville app.
The clock is ticking on Genesis Diamond's amazing finance offer. You have until 6 p.m. Saturday to take advantage of the hottest offer of the summer. 5 years, 0 interest financing. Get in now and splurge. Maybe treat yourself. Planning to propose? Get that stunning designer engagement ring starting as low as $67 a month. Or a 3-carat lab-grown center diamond just $99 a month. Nothing down and no interest for 5 years. But hurry, this incredible offer ends Saturday and will not be extended. Only at Genesis Diamond, Green Hills and Cool Springs. On approved credit, see store for details.
This is Pre-Tection. Yep, Pre-Tection. The everyday skin protection ritual that protects your skin from mosquitoes. Pre-barbecue. Pre-playground. Pre-everything. Pre-every day. Prevention is the best protection. This summer, make sure you have OFF, the #1 dermatologist-recommended repellent brand. SC Johnson, a family company.
102.5 1025 and 1063 The Game is live and local.
And now, let's meet the starting lineups.
Robbie and Rex Road 6 to 9.
You are talking about a team that's building a roster.
Chase and Michelle 9 to 11.
He's still under contract.
It's not always X's and O's.
Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase 11 to 2.
Trades, free agents.
Let's get it going. I think this is a good hire.
And Stillman and Company 2 to 6.
I can give you one of the best coaches in the league.
And don't forget, we're your home for all things Nashville.
He scored!
Nashville's best sports talk, 1025 and 1063 The Game. We try to stay cool by being on social media.
I'm with it. I'm hip.
Follow us on Twitter at 1025 The Game and on Instagram at 1025 The Game Nashville.
Hey!
Oh, yeah, and like us on Facebook, too. Having some fun in the midday.
Okay, that's really fun.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase
It's a good source of energy because it's live.
on 1025 and 1063 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
You got to know when.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 1025, 1063, The Game. And hey, we are brought to you by the new Zen Sports Sportsbook with cash rewards and the easiest, simplest betting experience possible. Betting just got better. Download the Zen Sports Sportsbook app today. The Predators have decided to buy out Matt Duchene's contract, and it is clear that the Barry Trotz administration is headed in a new direction. Barry Trotz doesn't want to call it a rebuild or a retool. It's a reroute.
Something. Okay, so if somebody has a good lingo, I mean, this could stick.
Yeah,
we
we could do something.
We've had nicknames that have stuck.
It's Vibe and Robbie.
On this,
really stuck?
Perfect example.
Yeah.
So if you have a name for what this is, because remember, we've had the competitive rebuild, the competitive transition.
The competitive transition, I feel like, should go in the bin of phrases we should no longer use anymore.
You can't really put that on a T-shirt, right?
Yeah,
So
that doesn't really fly off the shelves.
Barry Trotz, it's almost like he was looking for the term of what this is, but he laid out what it is. It's,
right.
He wants 2, 3, 4 years to really build a roster, because what he has going for him, and once again, let's not forget that David Poile was not burning the farm system. He was keeping the first-round picks, building a good group of prospects. Scotty Nickel and that group has done a great job. Carl Taylor, tremendous job of developing the players that they've drafted. That's a huge part of the equation, right? It's one thing to draft these guys, but what do you do with them once you get them? Are you turning them into NHL players? They've done a very good job of that, or else this could have been total disaster.
Okay, so it's not anything like, catchy, but I feel
Trotzification. How about that on the text line?
like
that's
the
a good one.
The Trotzification.
Now,
Kyle, nice.
a word I thought of that maybe he could have been looking for yesterday is resurfacing, maybe.
Resurfacing, like sandpaper or something?
Yeah, like
Okay.
he's trying to add people in the meantime that will kind of fill out this process for the guys that are cooking, because typically you just have to wait it out. It's like you set a timer for yourself. But I feel like with him, he's trying to just resurface what he used to know when he was a coach here, maybe. I don't know.
It's a good thought. And now, look at the creative juices flowing
Oh
from
my
our listeners
goodness,
here.
the text line.
The Trotzification
A
is
revive.
a good start.
I like a revibe.
A revive.
Giving
good.
it a new fill, a renovation, a
Trotzi's tweaks.
reconfiguration.
That's a little. Think T-shirt here. Trotzification.
Repred.
Instead of the retread.
Reorganize. Whatever it is. I think we're all kind of on the same page of it's not a complete tear down and rebuild back up.
A predstruction.
It is a different direction.
Predstruction.
It's a trotstruction.
Okay.
Say that 5 times fast.
Well, I think this will be interesting. Jeff has a good one. Jeff, what's up?
Hey, we are renovating the Predators.
All right, I like it. Thank you, Jeff.
Okay.
Thank you,
I
Jeff.
thought he was working up to something more than that.
I appreciate him calling in to tell us that, though.
I think the Trotzification is something to go off of here. That's one.
Okay.
Trotzification.
Or the repred.
I think the repred might be good, but
that could be good.
So I want to hear more from our callers, texters, whatever it is, driven by WilsonCountyHoney.com. But let's talk about some names. I want to throw some names.
Okay, I got my list. You got your list?
I
here?
do.
Let's focus on forwards today.
Now,
because Duchesne and Johansson are
Willy,
gone now, it's created a lot of openings here.
I'm going to center here, so I'm going to give you a few names, and I'll give you their age too.
Okay.
So the first one that is going to be what that Elliot was talking about. JT Compher. He's 28 years old, played for the Colorado Avalanche. He's been there all his career. He's been against the Predators time and time again. We know what he looks like. So the scouting department may be high on him. So there's one guy. The next guy, for me, is Crazy Legs Craig Smith, possibly. Now, that's something to think about for sure. Not saying that he would re-sign with the Predators. Curious to see where he goes. He is 33 years old. Another guy that's just good down the middle that I like personally is Lars Eller.
Why?
So Lars Eller, he's played with Vegas. He's played with Montreal. He's been around younger players before, Caroline. He's been around those guys in Montreal.
He's getting up there in age. How old is
in
Eller?
Vegas? He is 34. So you have to consider he's older, but he has that experience to win.
He does.
So you do have to consider that.
And win with Barry Trotz.
Yes, more importantly. And I believe Eller was part of the Capitals Cup run as well and scored the game-winning goal. So there is that as well. The other guy that this may be unpopular that nobody knows about whatsoever, because I know my NHLers, is Luke Glendening. So he's been with the Dallas Stars, the Red Wings. I believe he's been with Pittsburgh too or something like that. He's just been a really solid guy down the middle that wins face-offs and that is more than capable of working with the younger players as well. So, Willie, I want to hear what yours is.
Okay, I've got a little bit of a longer list. I didn't focus so much at center as I did all forwards because despite the fact that they want the number one center, let's just take Compher. I just don't know that Compher is so much of an upgrade from what they already have that it's worth – because he's going to get a good market. JT Compher had over 50 points last year. He's a good player, but he's going to want 4, 5, 6 years. Do you want that? I don't. I'm looking for more 1 to 3 years.
Long-term commitment, in my opinion, is nothing that I am interested in for anyone over the age of like 26.
And so he mentioned Glendening.
I'm like Leonardo DiCaprio.
He mentioned Glendening and Eller. Those are more third, fourth line centers, character guys, but you already have Colton Sissons. So Colton Sissons is going to keep in mind you're going to use him. So do you need another Colton Sissons? For character, yes. But I want Parsonen, I want Novak, I want Glass playing, so I'm not sure there. So here's what I've come up with, okay? Number one, we know Duchesne is gone. That opens up the wing spot. What about calling Los Angeles, who is looking for a little extra money here and there? They got their guy at Pierre-Luc Dubois. They got a lot of prospects coming up. How about saying, I'll take Victor Arvidsson off your hands for 1 year, the final year of the contract that David Poile signed to him for $4.2 million for 1 year. And if you hit big, you can extend him if you want to.
My question, though.
RV.
Okay.
Listen to the crowd.
You can,
RV.
Yes.
RV. They love him.
Okay.
Bring him back.
The RV gif that drifts that Justin Bradford used to tweet out, that will probably come back too. So there is that as well. I don't know. See, Willie, here's my problem with Victor Arvidsson, and I'm going to be really frank about it, is...
Remember, it's a 1 year deal.
1 year deal. 1 year. 1 year is completely fine. If you want to bring him back, absolutely. But here's...
New coach?
It's a new coach. There's that perspective too. But here's what I have to say about
Put him with Forsberg?
I don't know. Listen.
Bestaroni.
I'm going to sell you on this, Nick. I'm telling you.
Robert Bortuzzo set him back way big.
That was
with
4 years ago.
He was never the same player after that.
But you would admit, when you watched the Kings this last year, especially in the postseason, he had a good year. He looked more like Victor Arvidsson to me.
Very confident player.
So I am proposing him. Again, these aren't guys you're going to win the cup with this year. But
sure.
I'm looking for guys that are going to set the example. Nobody sets the example better than Arvidsson. Unbelievable work ethic. So even if he doesn't play like he used to for a year on a flyer, and I think you could get him without giving up much because the Kings are up against the cap still some. Mm-hmm. I think that's a natural fit.
Okay.
I would. That's a guy I put him on the list. Nick, are you sold? Do you take him?
Look,
I'll trade you a fourth rounder.
The idea
third
makes
rounder.
sense. No, I wouldn't take a 4th rounder for him.
They have to get him off the books.
Something. Yes.
The idea of picking up a veteran guy, I think for Barry Trotz, what I would do is try and squeeze everything that you can out of them. Play into, well, you need to get rid of him. We are doing you a favor.
Oh, yeah.
How many more draft picks can you accumulate in this process?
I think you could probably flip that draft pick that they got from, who was it, Tampa yesterday? You could probably flip that maybe.
Also, keep in mind how many trades have been for who, Caroline? Freddie Charles.
Our good old dear friend, Freddie Charles.
The market is wide open. People are giving players away. I don't know if they would give away Arvey, but I guarantee you it would not cost you a lot to make that happen. I am proposing. I haven't talked to anybody about this. This is new news today. I did not know this was coming, but I look at Arvidsson as a fit to put back with Forsberg for a year. But that won't. You got the cap space. He's not making $8 million. He's making 4.2. So I would take Arvidsson off your hands, Kings. And I'll throw in a draft pick if you like. That's me. Here's another interesting one just to chew on.
Let's get into those coming up next.
Okay.
We'll get into the rest.
Because I'm going to make Nick happy. I'm going to throw a center out there to see what he thinks about this.
All right, we'll get into that coming up next. And our phones are blowing up. So we're to those coming up next as well. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
The Titans offseason program has come to an end. What other roster tweaks can GM Rand Carthon and head coach Mike Vrabel make before training camp?
Not just taking a guy to fill a need. We want to get the right people.
Well, we'll continue to kind of look through where we're at.
Talking Titans? Keep it locked to Nashville's best Titans talk, 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It's Family Leisure's 4th of July sale. Huge savings on spas, play gyms, and Sabre gas grills. Big savings on patio furniture from all the big brand names with free immediate delivery.
Well, what about the spas?
Family Leisure is discounting all their spas. There are more than 40 spas on display and on sale.
What about pools?
Above ground pools in stock and ready for installation in less than 10 days. Diamond Point Swing Set on sale at only $25.99 installed.
Family Leisure's 4th of July sale going on now at both huge locations, Franklin and Antioch. 3 days of racing, 3 days of music, one huge weekend event. The Big Machine Music City Grand Prix is not just a race or a festival, it's an experience. Multiple music stations with Flo Rida, Vince Neil, Chris Jansen, Gavin DeGraw, and more. Fast cars going over 200 miles an hour. And a family fun zone with inflatables, Ferris wheels, kids games, and kid-friendly food trucks. Tickets and premium hospitality are on sale now. Go to MusicCityGP.com for tickets and get ready to experience Nashville's premier speed and sound event.
So, it's America's birthday, the land of the free and the home of the brave. Oil Fire Whiskey salutes the American military and Old Glory. Raise those flags high. Let's celebrate together. You will like it. She will love it. Oil Fire Whiskey, as American as it gets.
Hi, we're Comparion Insurance Agency. Right now you're thinking, Comparion, never heard of them. We know. We also know that you have no idea that Comparion Insurance agents are local and provide expert advice. So to help it stick, we're going to say local agent 4 times in the next 15 seconds. Ready? Go. Our local agents know you and your community. Our local agents offer insurance from top carriers. Our local agents have minty fresh breath.
Find us at ComparionInsurance.com. Comparion Insurance Agency. Local agents, expert advice.
And there's number 4.
Hey, this is Jordan Rogers, and you're listening to Nashville's best sports talk, 102.5 The Game.
All right, interesting to come back on this. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game. The news of the day, the Predators have decided to buy out Matt Duchene's contract. Willy has comprised a list, and Barry Trotz has discussed really very openly and honestly his plan for the Nashville Predators. He's looking at the next 3 to 4 years with a big emphasis on youth, a big emphasis on some of these young guys that we saw get their chance at the end of this past season. Barry Trotz encouraged by what he has seen, and it's moving forward with emphasis on youth, creating cap space and cutting ties with players that just do not align with what their philosophy is moving forward. But you need pieces to fit into the holes that you've created, and trading Ryan Johansson and buying out Matt Duchene.
I'm looking at a depth chart right now of what they have currently. I'm looking at Philip Forsberg. I'm just hear me out on these lines because these don't hold me to these. But let's say your first line is Philip Forsberg on the left wing, Juuso Parssinen at center, and then you have this big hole that I had Matt Duchene penciled in on that's now gone. Mm-hmm. Huge opportunity for somebody there. The second line, I'm keeping a trio that was really good down the stretch, and that's Kiefer Sherwood, Tommy Novak, and Luke Evangelista. Mm-hmm. I like that trio there. Then I'm going to go with...
And I think Barry does, too. He does not stop talking about Tommy Novak, Evangelista. Yeah. Cody Glass is another one.
The third line I have Cody Glass, Phil Tomasino, and then right now, for lack of a better guy, I'm just throwing Mark Jankowski in there. But to me, that's a big circle where I'm looking for one of these guys I'm about to name that I can move. Remember, Parssinen could move to the wing if he wanted to. He's versatile enough to do that. So if you want a center, there's room for a center for sure. And then the fourth line, I have a gritty Yakov Trenin, Colton Sissons, and Cole Smith. Then you got Michael McCarron.
2.0
kind of that. Yeah. So that energy, that grit.
Scrappy.
Yeah. So here, I think there's room for two guys if you could find the right guys. And again, I don't want to lock into 5, 6, 7 years. Mm-hmm. I'm looking for 1 to 3 years to kind of line up there. And I have not talked to Barry about this. I'm not auditioning for GM thing. I'm trying to keep my job as the play-by-play guy.
But Barry's talking to everybody, so you may as well pick up the phone.
He said he listens to the show.
Hey,
right?
Barry.
He says he told Jared he listens to his show. He's crazy enough to do that, so I hope he's listening to our show. Come on, Trotsy. All right, so here, I told you I would give you a center, guys, so here we go. How about this? Just crazy enough, you got the nutty city of Toronto right now going nuts. We got to shake it up. We can't come back with the same. We can't come back with the same guys.
I know where Willy's going with this.
Okay. Let's call up brand new GM, Brad Treliving. Hey, Brad, you want to shake it up? We'll take John Tavares off the books for you. 2 years left, $11 million a year.
Never mind.
Okay, but how about this?
I'm not paying him $11 million.
All these guys are going for half price. You keep half. We'll take half. So that's 5.5. Okay, there you get 5 years. You get 5.5 off of your books the next 2 years. We'll take him for 5.5 for 2 years. He is he's 32. He's a captain. Mm-hmm. He's a winner. He's a leader. He's a guy that isn't going to win you the cup maybe these next 2 years, but he would be a great influence to put around the guys.
80 points in 80 games last year.
It's not like he was, chopped liver, but they are ripping him up there. We got to get rid of this guy. He's no longer the guy we want. So use that to your advantage and take a guy that has done a lot of good things. Trade piece to trade to a contender, you get a little bit of something back.
Like a first round.
Before the trade deadline, a team that needs a little bit of a push.
And so I don't think you would have to give too much up to Toronto. Remember, you got a gazillion picks the next couple years. Mm-hmm. You want to throw in a second round or a third round? I'm okay with that.
Okay.
This is what I'm proposing today.
Willy, here's where I want to go to, where I thought you were going with the Toronto Maple Leafs. What about getting the Iron Hook guy back, Calle Jarnkrok? Would you consider going to get him, who's a proven winger? He's gone off to Seattle. He's played with the Flames. He's played with the Maple Leafs now. If anything, he's gotten better since he's left Nashville. That's another guy possibly. They may not want to go off of him. I do like your John Tavares thing.
I don't think that. I think the Maple Leafs want to keep the budget guys like Jarnkrok. I could be wrong. I love Jarnkrok. He's great. Mm-hmm. And he would be, I think, a guy that would be a good influence on younger players. And, of course, very close friends with Philip Forsberg. So I know Philip Forsberg missing his boys, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't have Ekholm. He doesn't have Arvey. He doesn't have Jarnkrok. Those are his guys that he came up through the ranks with. So from that aspect,
sure,
I would be okay with that.
What I like about his deal is he's not expensive. It's just 2.1, and it's for the next 3 seasons.
Right. But I think that's why the Maple Leafs want to keep him, because you need solid players at low numbers because Austin Matthews is about to break the bank, right?
Yep.
This is what's going on. So I think it might be very enticing to Toronto to say, ooh, Tavares getting up there in age, we'll take him off your hands.
And here's my message to some people who may be listening thinking, are you crazy? Just traded Ryan Johansson. You just bought out Matt Duchene's contract. We have no interest in getting into bed with older players who might be expensive. This is part of the plan of short-term, experienced leaders who you can get somewhat on the cheap and maybe get something in return from teams that are desperate to just dump salary. This is not a long-term investment. This is not a long-term commitment.
It's the culture. We're talking about a captain, right? We're talking about a leader. So that's why I put him on there. Some people may disagree, but that's one that I had there. So those are my two main guys. I've got some other guys, but I need to know more. But they fit the salary structure of that 1 to 2. I think it's very important you don't get saddled with, like, everybody's like, oh, man, you got these long. You got Johansson and Duchesne winning these contracts. They never end. We got to get out of here.
And really,
now they're out of them.
Right.
So you don't want to just come back and get another one like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unless it's a great player. That's why I put DeBrincat in a different category because he's only 25.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time when you sign big like Forsberg, you're more like 27 or 28. And you're looking at the last few years, even Yossi, right? The great player.
Get
but
iffy.
The last couple years are going to be like, 35, 36.
Mm-hmm.
What are you getting there? But that's the beauty of a guy like DeBrincat who's 25. The bulk of these long-term years, he's going to be in his 20s, right? You're looking at the last couple years and him being 20 or 32, 33, and not 35, 36.
Mike has been waiting very patiently
Bring
on
it
our
on,
phone
Mike.
lines, driven by
Give me what you got.
WilsonCountyHonda.com. What's up, Mike?
Trotsification. Repred.
Hey, guys.
What's going on?
Not much. Okay, so it's not a rebuild. Who's our coach? Barry?
Nope, he is not our coach.
I'm sorry, our GM.
Yes.
So it's a bear rebuild.
Ah, all right. A bear
rebuild. A bear rebuild.
I like it, Mike. Thank you for your call, Mike. And whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, we could call it a million different things. I hope that everyone understands that, really from the crux of what Barry Trotz has said, it's not going to be very fun for a couple of years, but they have a plan in mind. Like, one texter texts in and says, Barry's going to have a top 5 pick next year, isn't he? Maybe. I don't know.
I think it will be hard as long as they got Juicy Saros in goal.
I would agree with you that you're going to be good enough to not be picking with the Chicagos of this year, of the San Jose's of this year. But if the Predators do have a top 5 pick next year, if the Predators are absolutely horrendous this year, which I don't think that they're going to be, but let's say if they are, I think that we all owe Barry Trotz what he's been asking us for ever since he took over as the new general manager.
The P word.
Patience. Be a little bit patient. At least see what Barry Trotz and his vision is and see the gears start to turn of those things coming to fruition, because Barry Trotz is not wasting any sort of time. Matthew from Jolton Texan says, I have no interest in John Tavares. I don't feel like he'd be a good mentor or leader.
Why? He's a captain. He's been a captain his whole career.
And has been a captain his whole career.
I'd love to know where
I
would love to know where he's coming from in that, because when you see a C next to a guy's name for as long as he's been one, that's why it didn't take me very long to see what Ryan McDonough was bringing to the table. To me, guys like that are guys that I'm interested in.
And that, I think, is the difference maybe between like a Calle Yarncroke that Nick brought up. If you want to bring guys in here to really hammer home the culture, I want guys that have been there before, that have been playing at the level that you want to get to.
Right. And Lars Eller's
playing
that.
on the biggest stage of hockey, that you're competing for a Stanley Cup. You're not just playing in the playoffs. You are being competitive in the playoffs. That's what I'm looking for.
I agree with you 100% on Lars Eller. The only thing on Eller is, again, do you want two Colton Sissons? Like, because to me, they're kind of the same role there.
I think a little bit, but I think more of Sissons is more physical. Lars would be more of the playmaker.
Yeah. And Sissons could move to the wing. There's no question about that. So I'm not gonna say no. I'm not gonna write it off.
I'll just say this: I'm excited. I know it might not be very fun over the next season or 2 or maybe even 3. I know it might not even work. Maybe you go out on the other side of this and you don't have a Stanley Cup, or you're not a more competitive team. I don't know what's going to happen, but I appreciate the effort that Barry Trotz is making and the difficult decisions that he has made, and I'm sure more have to come down the pipe to make this team a Stanley Cup competitor. We will take it to the bank coming up next. Caroline, Willy, D-Mase, 102.5, 106.3 The Game.
Whether it's college football,
players might end up not going to Alabama or Georgia,
or the NFL.
I think that this team wins the AFC South.
Trevor knows. Join ESPN's Trevor Maddich every Tuesday at 4:30 on Stillman and Company as he gives his opinions on the latest from the gridiron.
I'm going to the team where I can get a ring.
Trevor Maddich brought to you by Houston Clinic Orthopedics, where experience matters, on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Okay, it is time to take it to the bank here in just a minute, brought to you by our brand new sponsor, F&M Bank. And remember, banking made easy on purpose. Let me give you a couple of the things they've got going on right now. They've just added a roundup feature to their debit card because they know a little change can go a long way, especially when you're trying to save money. So find out more about the roundup feature. It's called the Smart Swipe. It's a great tool that deposits change into your savings account every time you make a debit card purchase. Hey, if that sounds good, like you want these little nice, easy, smart, practical moves that make your banking easier. So ask about the roundup feature when you find that new location, the one nearest you, from F&M Bank. Banking made easy on purpose. Tell them you heard about the Smart Swipe and the roundup feature from me here on 102.5 The Game. And tell them you love to take it to the bank and the feature we have, because all of us know a little change can make all the difference in the world. So remember, go to myfmbank.com to get all the info. That's myfmbank.com. Member FDIC.
The clock is ticking on Genesis Diamond's amazing finance offer. You have until 6 p.m. Saturday to take advantage of the hottest offer of the summer. 5 years, 0 interest financing. Get in now and splurge. Maybe treat yourself. Planning to propose? Get that stunning designer engagement ring starting as low as $67 a month. Or a 3-carat lab-grown center diamond just $99 a month. Nothing down and no interest for 5 years. But hurry, this incredible offer ends Saturday and will not be extended. Only at Genesis Diamond, Green Hills and Cool Springs. On approved credit, see store for details.
Seems like everything costs more these days. Food, utilities, medical costs, you name it. But as prices go up, our family budget stays the same. Fortunately, with Farm Bureau Health Plan's Core Choice coverage, we can save $3,600 a year compared to the leading competitor. And we've got better coverage with a lower premium, lower deductible, free telehealth visits, and access to one of the largest networks available. Start saving today at FBHP.com or visit your local Farm Bureau office.
The spring menu is here at Kitchen Notes in the Omni Nashville Hotel, featuring their signature cast iron pie with herb roasted chicken, English peas, carrots, potato, simple greens, and a toasted biscuit crumble topping. Or garden succotash with snap peas, black-eyed peas, roasted peppers, sweet corn, tomato, and caramelized onion. Or try the steak fritas with pan-seared ribeye. Kitchen Notes in the Omni Nashville Hotel, open daily till 2 with brunch Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 7 till 2.
Hey, Ray Jeter here with Harness. Are you an experienced superintendent, project manager, foreman, or estimator? Do you possess a unique perspective that sees problems as valuable opportunities? We are an excavations and site utilities contractor. We are actively seeking skilled superintendents, project managers, foremen, and estimators who embrace challenges with a positive mindset. If you embody this mindset, apply today at selectharness.com. Harness LLC, build people, move dirt.
Nashville's radio version of The Odd Couple.
You would trade for the third pick? Yeah, I don't know that I would do that.
Robbie Stanley and Joe Rexrode are Robbie and Rexrode.
I'm here for the discussion. I'm not. It's a good one. It's absurd.
Robbie and Rexrode, mornings from 6 to 9.
Win the games. When they get in the playoff, they'll have a chance to.
Presented by TJ Anderson Homes of Benchmark Realty on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app. Having some fun in the midday.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This is Caroline, Willy, and D-Mase on 102.5 and 106.3 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
Caroline, Willy, D-Mase is brought to you by the new Zen Sports Sportsbook. With cash rewards and the easiest, simplest betting experience possible, betting just got better. Download the Zen Sports Sportsbook app today And it is now time to take it to the bank with F&M Bank. F&M Bank, banking made easy on purpose. Customer, community, F&M Bank, banking made easy on purpose. Visit one of their 20 locations throughout Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky or online at myfmbank.com. Who would like to take over the honors of Take It to the Bank this week? But also, before we do that, I want to recap this past week.
Oh, yes, you do.
Because
you do want to recap it.
I would like to give myself the biggest pat on the back because I might just be psychic. Last week, my Take It to the Bank was about the College World Series final. Go Tigers. I said that I thought LSU was going to win game 1, that Florida was going to win game 2, and then I said I think that LSU was going to blow Florida out in game 3. And if I was not right on the money with my Take It to the Bank last week, I will take my bow. Thank you very much.
That was a cha-ching, was it not? It was. I'm going to give myself a pat on the back as well.
You got yours last week as
I
well.
was calling from, I was actually, I think in Hartford. I went to all kinds of states. Last weekend I was in Connecticut. I was in New York. I was in Massachusetts.
It's the beauty of New
York. I was in Rhode Island.
Northeast.
I was all over. Yeah, you can hit a bunch of states.
In like 5 minutes.
I called for a trade that Barry Trotz was going to have a trade up his sleeve. And within 48 hours, he had traded.
24 hours.
24 hours. The Ryan Johansson trade went down. So I'm going to give myself a big pat on the back and credit for my Take It to the Bank. Now, Nick has been winning this contest. He's had the most correct.
Silent but deadly, Nick is back there.
Now, D-Mase, I think he went opposite of you.
He said he thought it was going to be 2 games.
Yeah.
The College World Series final. So one of us was going to be wrong. So D-Mase picked it in 2. I didn't have as much faith in my LSU Tigers, picked it in 3.
Mm-hmm.
Nick, what was yours last week? Did you hit it?
No, I mean, it's kind of still in progress, but no, I mean, Cody Glass did get qualified, so, I mean,
Which was a very conservative.
It's a very, I need
it was a small deposit.
I'll take a bigger swing for sure
to the bank
this weekend for sure. But yes, I did make a mention of the RFAs just because I was working on it. It was super easy for me to think about something in that avenue, but we'll see what they do this weekend.
Okay.
I need a bold take from you this
all right,
week.
I'm gonna. Here's what I challenge you, Nick, for this week's take. They're gonna sign Cody Glass. Tell me what you think the years and average per year is gonna be.
Okay, you want me to do it now?
Take a shot at it.
All right. So, based on what he is, but also what I know, I will say that Cody Glass will get at least 2 years. I'm going to say that they give him...
See, that I want to hear, it's going to be 2 years. Like say it with authority.
All right.
2 years.
2 years.
You're not going 4. You're not going 5. You're going 2.
I'm going to give Cody Glass 2 years. As GM, I will give him 2 years. That's more than enough time for him to prove himself once again in this lineup. As far as what he makes by average annual, I would give him no more than $4 million.
Give me a figure.
$4 million.
$4 million.
$4 million, okay.
Average annual, $4 million.
All right, $4 million, 2 years. $4 million AAV,
I'm
rather.
thinking a few more years for a few less dollars, but that's me.
I was thinking $2.5 million over the next 4 years.
Okay. So you're going, I'm a little going, I'm going for the term, maybe for a little less.
Right.
At the end of it, the dollars are close to the same. But I'm looking for an investment in Cody Glass. Okay,
I like it, Nick.
Let's hold Nick to it.
I like it.
On that. All right. I'm gonna sort of spin off of one of my Take It to the Bank. I said I thought it would involve a defenseman. So that's the one thing I got wrong. I do think during the free agent period, so we're gonna, it's gonna 4th of July. So when we reconvene on Wednesday, some stuff is gonna go down. I don't know if it'll happen by Wednesday, but I still hold to there will be a defenseman traded by the Predators among the group. I do think they're going to shake it up a little bit. I don't think they're going to bring back the exact same group. I don't think they're trading Yossi or McDonough. But beyond that, and I think
probably safe.
I wouldn't rule him out. I think it's more likely Carrier is the one that to me is.
Okay.
Do you want Fabro and Carrier for about 2 years? A lot of fans have said, okay, look at the contracts, look at what they do. Do you want both of them? Now they certainly have room if they want to keep both of them.
And
but
neither
they're
of
both,
them make a lot of money.
But do you want somebody that's got a little different profile, somebody a little bigger, to replace one of them, just so you have a different look? So I'm thinking somewhere in there, and I'm not saying. So I'm keeping it broad and saying a defenseman. I'm not saying either or of those two, but I think there will be a defenseman traded at some point in the next week or two while they shake up and shape this roster for next year.
Interesting. Okay, all right. That is
Take it
Willy's
to the
take
bank.
it to the bank.
A defenseman will be traded.
Derek's take it to the bank. Derek had to step out, but his take it to the bank is that Barry Trotz is not quite done, that there will be somebody else on the chopping block.
Ooh.
So you guys are going to hockey. My baseball take it to the banks have proven me very well. One of them was the Jello shots. I thought LSU was going to win by at least 200. They won by 60,000, so that one was pretty safe. And then my take it to the bank this past week. So I'm going to stick in baseball, but I will go to the major leagues and I will stick with my team. However, I have a lot less belief in my major league team than I do with my college team. The St. Louis Cardinals absolutely stink. They lost 14-0 to the Houston Astros yesterday.
And yet, they just beat the Mets 2 out of 3 here recently, so that's how bad the Mets are.
Yeah. Not a whole lot of faith in Major League Baseball on this program today between my Cardinals and Willy's Mets. But the Cardinals play the Yankees this weekend. So my take it to the bank is that the Cardinals get swept, and it will be by a total run deficit of at least 10 runs.
So they're not even going to get a game?
No.
Not a game?
Not a single game. They are going to get swept,
Jeez.
and the Yankees are going to whip that Cardinal butt. I am such a
I don't want to root for the
jaded
Yankees.
fan. I don't want to root for the Yankees. I am just picking with my head instead of my heart.
So you're kind of hoping you're wrong in a way? You're
see,
trying to motivate people back home.
I'm hedging my happiness here.
Okay.
Like if the Cardinals do get swept and they do get that butt kicked,
then you'll
well,
take it to the
I'll
bank?
take it to the bank. And if they don't, then we're back, baby. Cardinals are headed to the World Series yet again. There is
strategy.
No in between.
Sound
There's no
strategy.
in between. That is going to do it for us today. Everyone have a safe and fun 4th of July weekend. We will be back next week. Stillman & Company is up next.